Magandang gabi mga ma'am sir. This is Gino, your host from Day One Media, and today we are going to talk about, of course, Wi-Fi woes. Okay, yun yung topic ngayon, Wi-Fi woes. Wi-Fi woes. This is a sort of follow-up sa mga naging talks natin dati about Wi-Fi or talk about bakit mabagal ang internet ko. So, let's start. When we're talking about the telco duopoly, we know Smart and Globe are the ones running the show in the Philippines. Alam nating we usually blame them for the slow internet connection that's happening in the Philippines. Pero in reality, it's a lot more than that. It's not just because of Smart and Globe. It's not just because of them being the only players in town that we have slow internet in the country. There's also because a lot of factors such as wireless router na meron ka sa bahay. Talagang mabagal ang internet sa bahay kung ang wireless router mo ay uugod-ugod na. Kung ito pa rin yung mga 802.11b or G na wireless router, talagang walang mararating tayo, di ba? We also have, of course, the number 2, we have the old laws to blame. 97 if I'm not mistaken, or early 2000s. Mga early 2000s nagkaroon tayo ng mga laws surrounding telcos and implementation of their ISP towers, of telco towers. That's one of the big issues when it comes to Philippine society. And of course, the third is we have the geographic issues kasi nga we are an archipelago and we're not necessarily landlocked to any other country. Thereby, we need to create these huge underwater sea cables in order to keep our infrastructure in check. So yun, let's start off with the telco duopoly. Now, if you would compare telco pricing or ISP or mobile data pricing all around the world, you would find that in the Philippines, we have some of the cheapest telco or ISP or data rates anywhere in the world. Go to Singapore, go to Korea. Siguro, ang exception na lang is the likes of India. Pero go to any of these first world countries. Ako, I've personally been to Europe and nakakatakot. Nakakatakot yung ISP rates nila. Magkano ang 1 gigabyte of data? Talagang, nung nagbayad ako para sa data ko in Europe, talagang out of pocket, and ang sakit mga ma'am sir, ang sakit magbayad talaga. Parang it's 30 parang 20 to 30 euros per gigabyte. Okay, so for a moment I shall search up 20 euros to PHP. Sipin nyo mga ma'am sir, 1,150 pesos per gigabyte. That's just 20 euros, pero feeling ko nga 30 euros yun. Nakalimutan ko lang magkano, pero nakakatakot. Talagang tagtipid ako, kaya hindi ako makapag-story, hindi ako makapag-data sa Europe kasi nga ang mahal ng data sa Europe. Okay, so that's one. So, just to tell you guys, ayun, data prices in the Philippines are freaking cheap. Lalo na with the latest entrant nga, with the latest video that we have of GoMo. GoMo costs 299 pesos for 30 gigabytes. And yun pa lang, parang ang layo na ng mararating ng 30 gigabytes, I think, for you and me, for the most of you guys watching. Now, okay, so we have that. The telco duopoly is not the biggest problem. A lot of people think naman that because there's a duopoly, natatakot sila mag-setup ng infrastructure. Or sorry, ayaw nila mag-setup ng infrastructure kasi nga wala naman silang kalaban, which is in a way sort of true. Pero if you think about it, it's in their best interest to set up infrastructure kasi lalaki revenue nila, lalaki yung mga subscribers nila. So it's really in their best interest to set up infrastructure as well. And of course, anyone with the most cell towers, sila yung mas papanigan ng mga subscribers. Kaya the logic of saying that they're a duopoly is sort of null and void if you ask me. Parang sure, more competition might help, pero they would be subjected to the same issues as I will talk about in the next aspect of this talk. Okay, now we have the router. Okay, yun naman. Dami naman parang natatakot, parang sinasabi nila PLDC, ganon, 'di ba? Or parang lagi silang nadi-disconnect pag nasa bahay. Well, think about it this way. Router, wireless router. Yung parang yung wifi, yung literal na wifi thing, the wifi router that you have in your home. Alam naman natin lahat na lahat ng mga bagay ngayon wireless. And because of that, of course, you need to have a wireless router that's up to its game, kumbaga. Yung wireless router na hindi ka bibiguin lang basta-basta. So, that's the thing. You need to have a good wireless router nowadays. If you only have a cheap one, di ko naman not saying, pero mga cheap Chinese ones, duda akong you would be served well by it. Okay. Of course, it's not just because of the brand, pero it's because also marami na rin gumagamit ng wireless. Ang daming wifi. If you go check your phone, tingnan mo sa listahan ng phone mo, ilan yung mga wireless connections na nakikita mo, ilan yung mga hotspot, ilan yung mga wifi router na nakikita mo sa listahan ng phone mo. Dun pa lang. Ang dami ng mga... So, what's happening is they're competing for airtime. All of them are competing kasi they cancel out one another, their signals. The more wireless routers that you have in an area, the more that there's a tendency to create interference for the signals to cancel out one another. Kaya that's the big problem, lalo na with our wireless world. Kaya it's either you get a better wireless router in general, one that supports the latest technology such as Wi-Fi MIMO, such as 5 GHz, such as Wi-Fi 6. Mga bagay na yun, that's the best way forward. Kasi wala talaga tayong magagawa, lahat wireless na di ba? Unless you wanna go wired. My setup right now at home is wired, which is why I get the best speeds possible. Pero siguro para sa akin, hindi na natin masyado may iwasan na drop connections every now and then because that's really the physics limitations, the physical limitations of Wi-Fi, of wireless connections. Now, until such a time that they can create a Wi-Fi standard na hindi na nadadamay ng physics or ng mga elements ng lamig, ng init, ng ulan, ng araw, mga ganong bagay. Until such a time, mahirap talaga. Mahirap talaga. Parang wireless, it will be a reality. So, it's not necessarily something to blame to the ISP. So, yun rin nabanggit ko rin. Minsan kasi, paugod-ugod na yung wireless modem or router natin. Pag paugod-ugod na yung wireless modem and router natin, well, actually, you can ask your ISP to replace it. Of course, medyo matatagalan lang sila. Pero, as far as I know, sa PLDT, pwede kayo mag-request na sasabihin nyo na parang sira na ata, na laging nagdo-drop ang connection. There's a good possibility that they lend you one of their newer routers. So that's an option if you think that could be because of your old router, old ISP provided router. Pero in general, guys, yung mga ISP provided router, yung PLDT ONU router na yan na usong-uso ngayon, actually, kahit mukha siyang maganda, kahit mukha siyang high-tech, ISP provided routers are usually the worst. In general, kahit saan ka pumunta. Kasi of course, it's to save their bottom line rin. And yun nga, they don't really assume na lahat ng tao sa mundo gagamit ng router nila. They look for the most cost-effective one. So yun. The solution, get a better router. That's one of the biggest solutions that you can find in order to improve your Wi-Fi connection. And if not, go fully wired. Okay, now we go to the old laws portion. Ang daming old laws when it comes to the Philippines. Late 90s to early 2000s, they formulated a law. Napansin nila dumadami na yung texts, si mga calls, si mga GM, di ba? Tagal na nun, checks. Ang tagal na ng mga GM. Okay, so yan, dating-dati uso yung mga telebabad, mga unli, mga ganong bagay, which hindi na kasing uso ngayon. That's the thing. Laws were made kasi nakita nila na, ang gandang way ang gandang way kumita dito. Well, in reality, gano'n naman talaga yung thinking nila dati. So, they formulated a bunch of laws that made it harder for telcos to set up towers. Naalala nga, dun sa isang talk ni Duterte, parang Duterte versus Globe versus, So, the Ayalas, what happened was, nagalit si Duterte. Syempre, tuwa mga Pilipino, nagalit si Duterte sa Globe at sa PLDT. Tapos nag-comeback naman si Ayala. Sinabihan naman ni Ayala si Duterte na, paano kami makakapag-set up ng tower kung hindi nga kami pinapayagan ng gobyernong mag-set up ng tower? So yes, there is basis for that. And that is true. That is 100% true. It takes years to set up a cell tower in the Philippines because ang daming red tape, ang daming old laws, ang daming kailangan na approval, barangay, national, zoning, pati na rin yung mga subdivisions. Ang daming requirements na hinihingi ng gobyerno from the ISPs in order for them to set up cell towers. And na ganyan nga, sinabi ko, it's in their best interest to set up cell towers. And yet nga, hindi can set it up because of government, because of old antiquated laws that were designed for the telebabad era, for the call and text era. Those are no longer applicable now, and we need more cell towers, more base points now more than ever. So yun. One of the best ways in order to move forward in this is really to encourage our politicians to make new laws that would make it a lot more appealing for Smart Globe, PLDT, all of these players to set up more cell towers in the Philippines. And of course, we face the last issue, the geographic issues. We are an archipelago, as already mentioned. We only have a handful of international undersea fiber optic cables that connect us to the rest of the world. And it's through these fiber optic cables that we stream, we download, we access what is known as the cloud, as the internet. Now, we need to be able to get these things, we need to be able to improve our national capacity, our national broadband capacity by setting up more fiber optic cables all around, connecting us to other parts of the world. And also, we also need to set up a national fiber infrastructure. That's supposed to be the task of the DICT, and yet they have so far failed in their endeavor. It requires a lot of capital. It's capital intensive. Speaking about that, sa ibang bansa ang ginagawa nila, ang gobyerno ang naglalatag ng broadband, ng networks all around the country. And nangyayari na lang is yung mga ISP, yung mga tipong Globe and Smart, sila nagbabayad kay gobyerno para gamitin yung infrastructure na yon. So, baliktad nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Ang DICT natin, sila ang kumukuha ng infrastructure sa mga telco. Nakikihiram sila kay both PLDT and Globe. Hinihiram nila yung mga linya nila, mga fiber optic cable nila, tapos dun kumukuha yung mga government agencies and whatnot, and yung mga free wifi hotspot all around the Philippines. They're just getting it from the infrastructure of PLDT and Globe. So yun yung it's really messed up here in this country. Pero if you ask me, it's not really the telcos to blame. The telcos should be blamed for bad service. By service, I mean maintenance, as in yung pag-upkeep, pagpupunta sa mga subscribers. They should be blamed for that, yes. Kasi they've outsourced everything. They've contracted all of their maintenance providers, their installers to mga third parties. Pero beyond that, yung setting up infrastructure, it's mostly not their fault. And we have one of the best internet rates in Southeast Asia, let alone the world. So, ayun. So those are my thoughts. Those are what I have to say about Wi-Fi woes, about slow internet in the Philippines, and why we have such a bad internet experience in the Philippines. So I hope you learned something new today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Gina from Day One Media, and see you guys on the next video. Now, what is that, you might ask? It's painting your own graphics card, in our case a GTX 1060 OC edition, that try to understand what they're going through, what their pain points are.